It's crazy, Caviar, because I clicked link. I was like, should I have just done should I have made a Christmas intro over Christmas? I was like, yeah, Christmas is gone now. You can't do it. But listen, man, we're here. Liverpool 5, West Ham 0. I've been asking for a clean sheet, man, and finally, we've got one. Obviously, the only downside is Gomez got looks like a hamstring injury. Apart from that, bro, easy as peas. Like I was watching our boys today. I'm just like, this is a title winning team, man. This ain't even a joke no more. This ain't, when you're like, oh, I hope the boys can win it. I hope the boys can really stay true to what they want. Are they just speaking out their ass? Do they actually want to win the Premier League, or are they really on it? And watching them today, I was just like, nah, these boys are serious. Mo is serious. Virgil is serious. Trent today as well looks serious. I know he's the man of the hour, bro. The man that's potentially going to Real Madrid. But Cav, man, listen, great Christmas, great time with the family. Liverpool just, Boxing Day, Liverpool smoke up Leicester. And then now, they traveled to London and they made the West Ham, the Hammers look easy as peas, man. So big up to you, bro. Thank you for joining in.
Pleasure. I tell you what, we was just speaking about how good our Christmases were. I suppose what we failed to mention is that Liverpool have just been winning. So that that thing that controls a part of our heart and our happiness has just been successful and just been there in the background, so we can focus on our families and our breaks off of work and all of these kinds of things, because Liverpool are out here just doing their job. So definitely plays a part. But like you said, just this is a proper, I'm not even going to say team. It's a proper club. It's a proper squad, because it goes beyond. When you say team, it alludes to the 11 men that play plus your subs, but it goes beyond that. It's everybody's playing their part. You mentioned the injury to Gomez, so hopefully Kwanzaa can step up again now. And we're just showing that strength in depth, showing that rotation, and we're playing like a side that is going to be worthy champions, like you alluded to. This isn't just form. This isn't just a good moment. This isn't like a purple patch in the season. Actually, this is what we are. These are our true colors. We're a great, great side, managed by what looks to be an incredible manager. And he needs more time to prove how good he is. But so far, so good. Made today's game look easy, to be honest with you, which is scary, right? Like I'm not sure how you felt going into this game, but it's a Christmas period. There's distractions everywhere. Teams can be in good form and then get to this time of the year and things just change slightly, whether it's because it's Christmas, whether they want to be with their families. I don't know, all these kinds of stuff. But this is a machine, and it's just kept going. And from the off, we talk about our side being so great, but our starts aren't so much. But it was today, from kickoff. Really, I thought we were great. I thought that West Ham might sit back and try to play on the counter with Kudus and Bowen and stuff like that. But the minute, and we'll get into like all the talking points in the moments and stuff, but very, very early on when Gakpo played that through ball into Salah, which he missed, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we can get through these. And so long as we can keep persistent with that, it's going to be a long day for them and a great day for us. And that's how it panned out. So like you said, just a quality performance, like just perfect all around bar the injury.
Do you know what it was? You're right in terms of that first pass. I think they started the game because I saw a quote from their manager saying they don't fear us. And I was like, okay, I hear it. Look, listen, you're going to say what you want to say. We, don't have to fear us. That's fine. You know what I mean? You're the manager of a different club. So you're obviously going to say certain things to rally your troops and making sure your boys are up for it. And that's what they were. They were up for it in that first 5 minutes, I want to say. That first 5 minutes, they were pressing. They tried to push as many numbers forward as they possibly can just to see if they could unsettle us, see if they could grab something. But once we got our foot on the ball and started dictating and slowing the tempo down and then dictating the tempo and the speed of the game, you could see they weren't up at Liverpool's level. You could just see these boys are not it. In that first 5 minutes, you're like, okay, they can mix it with us. They're pressing. And in my mind, in the back of my mind, I was like, how long can you guys really keep this up? Because I'm always like, if they get one, then I'm playing out the scenarios in my head. So I'm like, if they get one, that means they're going to push into halftime. They'll work hard, then come out in the second half. If we haven't scored, that means they're going to be pushing to try and keep this 1-0 lead. And they just work off the fact that they have a 1-0 lead. But I'm like, if they don't, these guys are done. And I saw in that first 10 minutes, I saw that both their fullbacks were sweating. I'm like, I get, Premier League games are really difficult. And I know it's a lot of like, even though when we watch it, we're like, nah, this looks easy in terms of, you're like, nah, they're just standing there and passing the ball around. But it's mentally more than physical at times. You have switched on so much during the game, seeing who's doing what. Is he making a run off my shoulder? Am I in the right position? Am I in the right phase of play? When he wins it, should I be here? And then I saw them sweating. I was like, yeah, these guys ain't up for this game. You're working that hard in the first 10 minutes. And we're not even, we're just about settling on the ball now. Yeah, you guys are in for a long, what would say 80 minutes plus stoppage. And after that first goal, when, bit of fortune with the deflection, Diaz tried to play it off the stump. I think it was Gakpo. A defender gets a block. I think it was Kilman, drops back to him and he finishes it off. After that point, I was like, that's game done and game set and match. That's what I thought. As soon as we scored, I'm like, yeah, you guys now have to come out and play. And that was it. But I don't know what you thought, but I thought there was game set match after that first goal.
Yeah, pretty much that, because I think maybe every fan thinks this about their team, but for me, I'm never concerned about the opposition. I look at what threats they have. Bowen usually scores against us. Kudus is a good player. Did well actually today, despite losing 5-0. Kudus, he put in a good shift. But I always watch what Liverpool are turning up on any given day. And I really do judge it from like the very first few seconds. I think we've mixed it up a little bit now, but we used to do this thing where we would play it back and then just go long. And I'm instantly looking to see, right, do we win that first header? If we don't, wherever that ball's drop, is it dropping to our players or is it dropping to theirs? And I think the first few seconds, if I can remember that far back, where the ball was bobbling up a little bit, a few headers in there and whatnot. But I'm looking to see if there's aggression. And you could see that from Curtis and McAllister straight away. They got the ball down and they started to pass it. And you can instantly gauge whether you think Liverpool have prepared for the game well, if they're going to, show up. And them very first few moments showcase that. Especially being away from home. I know it's not quite like Upton Park was, but, West Ham with all the bubbles and the atmosphere can get up. You want to sort of tame all of that. And you do that by winning your initial duels, getting the ball down, playing it, taking the sting out of any momentum they may have started with or enthusiasm, shall we say. And we did that. And we started, like you saying, just moving the ball around, touches look good, look composed on the ball, passing was accurate and sharp. And without really doing much progressively, you could tell we were just comfortable. And that's a scary place for this Slot side when they're comfortable and they're moving around and they're finding each other because, they can dissect you with their passing. Now it's not all just momentum based. It's not all just pressing and high energy. It can just be, pass and move. So Liverpool showing that at the start, I thought, okay, we look like we're on it. But can we break this team down? And like I say, from that Gakpo through ball, which was incredible, by the way, I didn't even see that pass, and he managed to slide it through to Salah, who missed it. I think there was another chance, and maybe one or two more, but then the goal come. A little bit of fortune with like the ricochets and stuff, but that's what you get. How many times have we seen Liverpool come up against a team that do a low block or sit behind the ball and we're like, we're passing. But at some point you've got to try and penetrate, you've got to try something, even if there's men behind the ball, get a shot away, drive into the box and stuff. And that's what Diaz did. He gets into the box. Yeah, there's a bit of a ricochet, but you earn that look and it come back to him. And it's a smart finish, to be fair, because you have got to react, and he drives it low, not quite into the corner, but quick enough to get past Areola. So yeah, like you say, once that first goal goes in, you just put even more control into Liverpool's hands. They can play this game how they want to now. And away from home, if they just want to slow things down, take the tempo out of things, they can do that. A busy Christmas period, a couple of injuries in there. If they just want to go for the 1-0 and keep you running, they can do that. As it turns out, we went and scored more goals. But the last thing you want to do is give Liverpool the first goal especially when you know we grow into games and we're even better in the second half. So I think if you got any chance of beating this Liverpool team, you need to get that first goal. It's crucial.
Do you know it's mad because I was just playing clubs with a couple of my boys, and one of them Arsenal fan, the other one's a United fan, and I was in obviously the WhatsApp group with them and we was just talking, and then he was like, "I just switched the game off after you guys scored," and I was like taking myself back. I was like, "When did I do that?" It's Man City. When Man City used to score, you just like, "Oh, bro, they're not gonna lose now," and you're like, "Nah, but it's only 1-0." But you just knew as soon as they score, you're switching that game off. And he was just like, "Bro, there's no point. I'm watching you guys." And he's an Arsenal fan. He's like, "I'm just watching you guys. As soon as you score, I'm switching it off." He said, I was watching the Leicester game and I saw Leicester score. And he was like, "Yes, come on." And then he said, "As soon as I saw you guys score," I think he said he switched it off around the 49th minute. He's like, "I just turned the telly off. There's no point." And that's the kind of thing that we're doing. We're allowing other teams to kind of not even feel that they're in the title race, but as soon as we score, it's that moment where you're like, "Nah, they're not gonna lose, man. They're not. They're playing so well." And I guess if we're playing before the opposition, they're probably gonna maybe not watch our games because obviously they're preparing for their game, but they're gonna have like an eye on the game, or maybe someone watching it saying, "Oh, Liverpool scored," and that little slight doubt in their mind going into that game is like, "Oh, fuck's sake, they've scored again," or they've won. That means you go into that game, like everything you now do in that particular game, you have to make sure it's 110%. It's just mad, like just watching us play now. I'm so, from a tactical standpoint, I'm so calm watching our games now. Like, and I can't remember the last time I was like this. Maybe from the title winning season when I just knew as soon as we score, I just like, "Yep, Liverpool winning." Or even if we don't win, I was like, "We're not losing anyway." And that is the feeling I have this year. That's the feeling I've had since probably the start of the season, just looking at the squad and then looking at how we did in preseason. I can't remember if we had the conversation around preseason, but I just remember thinking to myself, when we played United, we played Arsenal, and I was like, "Nah, if we're doing this against these guys without actually the first team players, and we're doing this with academy players and a few of the fringe type players in the squad, what are we gonna then do when everyone is fit in this team?"
Scary. We called it, didn't we? I mean, you just used the words calm, inevitable, rival fans getting, just giving up almost, because they just know Liverpool are just a well-oiled machine and they're just going to keep winning. I mean, it is what we've thought about Man City. It's that, yes, you can be great, but great's not good enough. You have to be perfect. I think that's how other teams are looking at us now. It's like we have to be perfect to overcome this Liverpool side. That's the area of inevitability that we've seemed to build this season. That's the aura that we've built, and it's a great place to be, because whilst you only concentrate on yourself and winning your games, every single time you do that, you're just putting that seed of doubt into all your rivals, and it just builds from there, So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. We did say you, Savage, and I were speaking. I remember it so well. We were playing clubs and we were chatting about the games during pre-season. We were chatting about the manager and what the squad could do. And we said there's so much talent in there. There's so there's older people in there in our squad that have won major honors. So we've got the experience, we've got youth with fearlessness, but technical ability. We've got a midfield that's dynamic now. We've still got goals in multiple players up top, and we've obviously got VVD at the back with still Ali. So we've got all this sort of all the hallmarks and all the attributes that you need in a squad to go and win a title. It just needs fine tuning, just needs maturing, doesn't it? And if this is the guy to do it, Jesus, we're going to be in for a great season. And that's how it's panning out. And this performance just feels like, it's probably not our best. It's probably our best result this season. It's probably not our best performance, because I still think that the Leverkusen game was great. That's the standout for me still. But this performance, 5 goals, clean sheet, the maturity that we've shown, the aggression we've shown, it just felt like in that preseason we were looking at our squad going, I think this is what we can achieve. And today's performance kind of showcased we were right to think that we could be so great. You know, this performance shown that this is what these players are capable of, making football look easy. You know, that's a crazy thing. So I just think it's quite astounding how we've done it so quickly. But it's a great thing, and like we say, it's not a flash in the pan. It's not just a one-off. This game's been coming, you know, and we won't be surprised if we play United next week at Anfield and we see a similar type performance, because this is the standard for this squad now. So yeah, it's just all credit to them, all credit to the manager, all credit to the players for being able to listen, learn, adapt what the manager's been asking of them, and putting in a performance like this, because this is what it's capable of. When everybody buys in and everybody does what's asked of them, this is how you can make football look. You can rock up to, you know, what's a good experienced Premier League side with quality players, yes, some injuries, in their own stadium, and beat them 5-0. It's crazy. But can we talk about Luis Diaz whilst we're going on?
Of course you can, bro. Of course you can.
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever see Diaz being such a good striker?
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but there was a conversation we had. I want to say not when he first signed, but in that start, because he signed in the January, because we had to obviously pit Tottenham because Tottenham wanted him.
Yeah.
And then he came in, and obviously he started as like the left wing, and then we moved Mane more central within that January period. And I think it was a season after, and I was like, Diaz could play across the front line. And there was a conversation between, I don't know if it was you, I remember Savage being in, I remember G, and we was talking about on that right-hand side, and I think he was like, no, he can't play on the right, he can't. And I was like, bro, I believe he can play across the front three. He's such a good footballer. And I think it was the next game, he ended up playing on the right and he scored. And then I was just like, see, I told you guys. So I already knew he could play across the front. Not because he doesn't play as an actual striker for me. He just plays it as a false nine. He's technically gifted. He's good on the ball. He's smart. The IQ is there. He knows when to give it, when to go. He's a trier in terms of he'll just try different things, what works, what doesn't work. And he's a workaholic. So he will run back and harry defenders, or he'll press them really high up. So I already knew he could just play a role. It's not the fact of him being a striker. I just knew he could play across the front. We've now used him across the front, and I'm just like, it's nothing new. I didn't think he was going to make it look shit. I didn't think he was going to. Liverpool's just a team, in my opinion, that we're better when we have a false nine type striker. We're not like we've tried. We're trying. And I don't want to bring up Nunes because it's not a Nunes stream, but we've tried to have that out and out striker, and that's why Jota at times look really good, because he's not a striker. He's a finisher, but he's not a striker. But he's like he can link the play, and that's why we prefer him more. But Diaz offers both sides, and he's doing exactly what I thought he could do anyway, Brad. No matter where he plays on the pitch for me, man, I think he's just he's an absolute baller, bro.
I tell you what, your foresight's better than mine, because I was with you. I was play him on the right as an option to Salah. Maybe he'll hit the byline a little bit more than Salah does, and that provides a bit more options for the striker if he's got good movement in the box and all these. He can beat his man, and it's something we've not been able to say about Salah for some time. So I hear that he play left or right, but I didn't see down the middle. I must admit, I did not see it, and maybe this is just good form. He's in a team that's playing really well at the minute. He's got dynamic midfielders behind him that can thread through balls and can pass into his feet, and he can link up. He's also got Salah, who's creating incredibly well out on that right hand side. Gakpo's in red hot form, so maybe he's just in a good moment, in a good position within this team. But what he's showing, like you said, that false nine sort of attributes, dropping dropping a bit deeper, touch is good, linking play, turning on the ball and driving towards the defense. But he's also shown with a couple of goals, last time out when Trent found him, that he can get in behind as well. He recognizes if there's space on the shoulder of the defense between the centre backs and the goalkeeper, he'll drive into that space if the delivery looks like it's coming in. So that being said, he's looking like the most complete forward at the minute. With Jota coming back, it's a great thing because we're able to ease him back in. But I'm even thinking if Jota is fully fit, sharp, ready to go, is Jota even a better option than Diaz at this point? In my opinion, he's not. Now, this it will change because that will happen with all forwards. You know, form will dip in and out. Salah, you know, is the exception. But I just think at the minute, Diaz is giving you everything you could possibly want from a striker. You know, we've spoken about a few of those things there, but he's contributing as well. You know, we've just said about dropping in and shoulder the defense and running at people, all this and that, but he's getting goals as well. I know he didn't score for a few, but you know, his contributions are good. So, and nobody else suffers for Diaz being in. We're not talking about Diaz being the striker and suddenly Salah's out of the game and it's all got to go through Diaz now, or suddenly Gakpo's, you know, Diaz is drifting out on the left and Gakpo's looking a bit lost. The whole team looks complete with him in that position. So long may it continue. And for me, that's our front three now, you know, and it has been. You know, I was doing a preview to the Real Madrid game, looking at Real Madrid and Man City, and I was saying that's the forward three that I want us to go with for Man City, which at the time was a massive, you know, Premier League game, because I thought that was our strongest back then. A few games on, I still think the same. You know, I still think that's our go-to forward line now. And Jota and Nunes are just going to have to contribute when they can, but they're going to have to improve. Jota a bit different, but Nunes is going to have a remarkable improvement to get that starting spot ahead of him now. So I'm so happy for him, and I just long may it continue with him, because I think I never seen it, and fair play to Slot for seeing it and being able to get these performances out of him straight away.
That's obviously I want to kind of give a segment to Slot himself anyway, but we'll get there, because I want to give him his praise on his own instead of just throwing him in terms of within the conversation, because tactically he's probably one of the best managers I've seen. But another guy that I want to give praise to as well, obviously Cody scoring the second goal, but he's done all of his work under the shadow. Like, he's scoring goals, and it's so mad. Unless someone says the stats to you, you'll be like, is he really? It's like he's scoring goals now from that left-hand side. And you remember when we was having a conversation a couple of years back about, you know, Gakpo playing on the left and Klopp using through the middle, and big up to Sam because he's in the chat. And I was on the Sam stream last night, and a few of the guys was like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, we was Gakpo on the left and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. Most of you guys were saying Klopp was right playing him through the middle, and he was a false nine, and he was great there. And I was like, and I remember fighting the case, and I was like, and I think Zabiri was a part of that, and Savin was like, nah, he's better on the left. And I said, I remember the reason why Klopp started using him through the middle was because of the 3 games in the Euros. He used them 3 games, and he scored in the back-to-back games. He scored in all 3 games, and he was playing as a false. And I said the reason why we was using him there is because there was a lot of injuries within the team. Forwards to Liverpool, and then we started using him, and I was like, you're not going to get the best out of him. But yeah, a lot of the guys on that stream was like, yeah, nah, man, you know, I'm a Gakpo guy, and Gakpo, we said that he should play on the left. And I was like, nah. You guys ain't going to jump on the bandwagon now. But honestly, bro, he's been instrumental to what we've been doing in terms of his form in the recent weeks. Yeah, he's scoring goals. He's looking dangerous. The only thing he needs to get out of his game is that ghost mode. When he switches that ghost mode on, and he just goes missing in the game. But to be fair to him, in the few weeks that he's been consistent. And I don't know that's whether because he's getting that consistent start, because, you know, normally we go Diaz, Gakpo, Diaz, Gakpo. But now it's Diaz is getting through, or even if Diaz doesn't start, in the last game it was Nunes that started, but Gakpo started on the left. This game, Gakpo starts on the left, Diaz starts through the middle. So I don't know if that's, okay, I'm getting rhythm now, playing on that left-hand side, so I'm being consistent. Every time I'm playing, I'm starting. I don't know if that, you know, if that's the case, but bro, he's scoring goals, and he's scoring vital goals and important goals for us. What's your opinion then?
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's in red hot form, right? He's playing close to his best, in my opinion. I'm not sure if he, you know, obviously he can get more goals and more assists in 90 minutes, but in terms of all-round performance, I think this is close to the best. So I imagine at some point there's going to be a little bit of a drop off from him. And you described it as, like, you know, ghosting in games a little bit. These games can happen. You know, he can sort of seemingly, you know, look like he's out of the game, and our go-to guy to sort of go and get a goal. But like you said, he's always contributed. Like since he's been here, you could argue, since he joined in that January, you could say he's contributed, in different ways for Klopp with all the injuries. He's played multiple positions, and that's helped us in some respects. He's contributed with goals, especially in the cups, and gone some way towards helping us maintain our sort of getting trophies frequently. And now it's a manager coming in and saying, no, this is your position, we're not doing that, moving you around anymore. Credit to you for doing it, it's admirable, fair play, you've got the ability to be able to do a job, but this is how I see your position. So now you're going to cement it, you're going to learn about the players that are around you, where you are on the pitch, body shape, when you're going to receive the ball, where your positioning needs to be, and you're gonna master it, and playing left wing is a privileged thing for Liverpool. Like you've got Andy Robertson. You can talk about whether he's as good as he used to be, but he's still a hard-working fullback that makes overlaps and underlaps now under Slot. So you've got that movement around you from your fullback. You've got dynamic midfielders that you can pop the ball off to and get it again, can play a through ball and recycle it and still not lose the attacks, even if you can't create yourself. If you stay high and wide, you've got Trent who can ping them diags over to you. So then as long as you can control it, you've isolated your fullback and you can get one-on-one. And then as long as, and he's spoken about it, if you see Salah pick his head up, get to that back stick, because he'll most likely find you. So in world football, the left wing position for Liverpool has always been, but especially now, is a privileged position to play if you're a good player, because you can get goals and assists. I won't go as far as to say it's a stat pad, because you've actually got to be a good player. They're not just tap-ins. You still got to play well. But he's surpassed anything I thought he could do, to be honest with you. I said to you, I'll openly admit, I like him as a player. The floor is very high for Gakpo. I don't think he's so technically sound, so calm-headed, looks after himself, tall, strong. He's always going to give you something, but how much I was doubting. I never really thought he'd be a starter for us. I thought he might be a really, really good squad player, good guy to have in your team, but would he be the guy that demands that starting spot on the left wing? I didn't see it, but he's proved me wrong, and he's a hell of a player. I mean, when he's on it, I just said how tall and strong he is, but close control, drop of the shoulder, can hit the byline if he wants to, cuts in, got that whip shot. He tries to find people out at the back stick, whether that's the right option to go with, I'm not too sure, but got such variety in his attacks. And I think it's just stemmed from the Euros, which were brilliant for him. He had so much joy in that, and he just rolled into the season and continued it. I think he's a cracking player to have, and he seems like a good bloke as well. I watch a lot of the Inside Anfield stuff, and he just seems like he gets along with everybody, fits into sort of the ethos that we have at the club. And it's important for a player like him, because he'll have moments this season where the form drops and he's got to work hard again to sort of get in ahead of Diaz again, or whoever it is that occupies the left wing. And I trust him to do that, because that's all he's ever shown us, is that he'll get his head down and work.
Do you know the thing is with him? I think we do this as fans at times as well. The squad is a relatively young squad, so a lot of times we there's the expectation, because they're at Liverpool, that they need to play in a certain level and they need to make sure they're keeping a consistency. But most of them, especially the new boys that come in, they're young. Gakpo's one of them. He's a young lad that, inexperienced. I use that word, in terms of he still played in a good enough league, but talking about Champions League consistency, playing in one of the best leagues in the world, in the Premier League, and actually fighting for a position, he's not really had to do that. He's been a young captain from a young age. He's been a player that's been relied upon from PSV, especially under Van Nistelrooy when he was there. But now coming to Liverpool, which is a more of a bigger club, you're fighting against the top teams in Europe to kind of, solidify your place in terms of where you stand as a player that people look at and fear. And I think now we're tightened. I think we saw a bit of it last season, because I know a lot of last season there was a lot of criticism because we didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. Where if you look at the players, for the guys that like the numbers, you look at them and you're like, if you compare them, and big up the Savage because he compared the numbers against the so-called big teams and the players in that particular position. He compared them against our players in that position, and he showed that they did really well. The problem is because we didn't achieve the big prize that we wanted to, the Premier League, the Champions League, whatever.
Yeah.
Or the Europa League, which we was in. People just look down at it. It's like, that's not good enough numbers. But Cody and Diaz are now doing that again. But now because we're in the position potentially to go and win the Champions League, potentially to go and win the Premier League at this stage, currently how we sit in the league, now we're starting to see, okay, now you're doing what we expect. But they did that last year. The numbers were good last year. Double figures in goals. I don't think they hit double figures in terms of assists, but the numbers were good based on the rotation of each person playing in that. I remember Cody in that he was playing centre mid and he was playing false nine and he was playing right and he was kind of thrown all over the place. And obviously that round table conversation that Klopp had, and he was talking about, and Cody was in, it was like, not even like an apology. I don't want to say it was, but he said, I realized I didn't utilize him in the position he should have been. Not word for word, but that's what Klopp was basically saying.
And part of that as well is because he needed to. He needed to. There was moments, you know, in that season where we needed a midfielder in there. You know, well, there was a vacant spot in midfield and we didn't have the midfielders. And the next go-to was Gakpo because it couldn't have been anybody else. And that's credit to Gakpo for having showcased some ability that means he felt he was versatile enough to go in there. You know,
that's crazy, man, because how I think Klopp, and obviously I'm not Klopp, so I'm just thinking of how he looked at what Cody could do. That's exactly what Gravenberch is doing. He wanted that player in that box, like that ball carrier, that silky on the turn. That's what he was looking at. Powerful runner from the midfield area, and I think
he had him there.
And he had him. But big up to Klopp because he got a Gravenberch that wasn't confident, wasn't smiling, wasn't enjoying football, and maybe he did the groundwork. And I know, and I'm part of this as well because I'm like, Slot got the best out of him, but I'm like, Klopp probably did the foundational work. He was like, I need to get the best out of him, and I need to get him back loving football, which is Gravenberch. I got him back loving football, but I couldn't get the best out of him from a physical standpoint or a performance standpoint. Yeah. But now, because I built that platform and that foundation, Arne Slot has come in and now gone, right, now we need performance because you've got the foundation, let's get the performance. And that's probably what we're getting.
Yeah, and like, we have to give Klopp credit, like you say, you know, yes, Gakpo is in form now. If you looked at it as an isolated situation, you could say, well, why didn't Klopp get this out of him? Why did Klopp move him around? Well, there were reasons why we just spoke about. But also, sometimes Klopp found players and moved their positions and had a lot of joy, you know. And there's other players that it didn't quite work out. So this happens, you know. Not every single player moving their position is going to be a success. I don't think he really wanted to with Gakpo. It was just needs must at times. And then he thought, you know, seen attributes in him that thought he could play the number 9 position. And he obviously, amongst trying to look after everything else at Liverpool, he clearly just, you know, didn't have the time, the opportunity to put Gakpo out on the left and leave him to play there consistently. And these things happen, you know. Like I say, if you look at it in an isolated situation, you could probably criticize Klopp. But overall, Klopp's managed to find, you know, is increased every player's performance. And I would say that large amount of success that we get this season is got to be labelled to Klopp as well, because Klopp's Slot's come in, made 2 signings, done some tweaking, but he's tweaking players that have worked under Klopp as well, you know. And it'll be too simple to say Klopp has them running at 100% and Slot's come in and took them down to 80% and then fine-tuned and this and that. It'll be too simple to say that, but that's almost how it feels, you know. Like you talk about Gravenberch, then Gravenberch is being asked to play as a midfielder for Liverpool. Instantly, that means hard work. That means running, you know. You know, that's there. Yeah, but if you master that, if you master the hard work and the running and the aggression, and somebody comes along and says, see all that, got all that, I'm going to tweak it a little bit though, so you need to do a little bit less. and we're going to up the dynamism, we're going to up the game intelligence, we're going to up awareness and vision, suddenly then you get these performances out of a player like Gravenberch. Now I'm talking very simplistically, right? But it almost, that's how it kind of feels. And I think without the aggression, the hard work and the stuff, you couldn't achieve this player that you've got now, you know, because he'd be able to teach him like the dynamism and the game intelligence and everything else. But would he be able to coach the aggression, the pressing, the timing of tackling and all these kinds of things? I'm not too sure. So look, I just think it's not a surprise that you go from a squad that's been trained by Klopp to now a squad that's been trained by Slot. And then suddenly you end up with this team that's capable of doing everything. I don't think that's a coincidence. I just think that it's a squad that's been taught by two great people. You know, I'm not too sure how many other times you see that, other than when a manager gets sacked and a new coach comes in and has immediate success. But usually there's not longevity to that. So yeah, like I say, a bit simplistic, but kind of how I feel about this team as a overall, to be honest with you.
Big up to Kwasi in the building as well. Pop said you're spot on, Cav. Always, man, always. Let's talk about the King Mo, man.
Yeah, I'm eating humble pie every weekend, and I know you're tasting it too. So...
No, I can't. You know this thing, yeah. I'm gonna get G in the building in a second. Do you know the maddest part of it is the fact that I don't have a problem with Mo, but it's sometimes just the performances. Like today, so crazy because today performance, I was like, bro, how many chances do you want to miss? And it was crazy. Big up to Pops because I was watching Bajan Barnes and them man and Pops and Krabs. Big up to you guys. I was watching their watch along, and I could see the people in chat. Nah, get Mo off. I was like, bro. So when I'm talking, you guys don't say that. You don't pipe up when I'm talking. All of a sudden, you want to get Mo off the pitch, but they're like, nah, get Mo off. How many chances does he want to have? Mo today could have easily had 5 goals himself. It wasn't from my standpoint, it wasn't even a performance standpoint, it was just him missing chances today.
Yeah,
performance I thought was fine. I think from a defensive and an attacking standpoint, I thought it was good. The only problem was just missing chances today, bro. And I was just like, bro, like how many chances do you want to miss today, bro? Like I know you're not the most clinical guy, but and it's a good thing because you know on games and days where we win 5-0, you're like, who cares about them other chances? But I'm like, I don't know. We could have been 10-0, boss. We could have, smoked up a team and the goal difference at the end could have made more sense. But, big up to Scraps and man said, what about Salah's right foot?
That one where he tried to make out as a pass into Curtis. No, well, bro. You
think he shot where he was like, man. You don't want to, you press the button by accident on the control. You're like, shit, man, I should have. I was trying to pass it, bro.
No, the fake shot where you don't hit the other button in time and it just passes it into no man's land. There was that one, and then there was the one where he actually tried to concentrate, got his head down, tried to power it, and then he just scuffed it and hit the side netting. I was like, nah, Salah, just trot back out.
You're being nice, bro. You're being nice, bro. Not hit the stands.
No, because I've been saying for the longest time, just use your right foot, mix it up. I've seen enough now with them 2 shots. Don't use your right foot. Just cut back every time and shoot your left. But you're right though. Today there was a performance there. There was, like especially Jota's goal where he's like running with the ball and he's dribbling and he's carrying it and he times the pass perfect there. Beautiful. Because we see he can create. He's not. I don't think he's much of a ball carrier now. He's receive it, give it, receive it, take 2 or 3 touches, see if you can pick someone out in the box, see if you can find the underlap pin run and things like that. If you're in the box, 1, 2 touches, score, but not really seeing them sort of goals where he's running with the ball, 40, 50 yards. But did today for Jota's goal, which is great. See, I think his performance was great. Yes, he, like you say, maybe would have scrutinized the misses a bit more if it weren't such a big scoreline, but he's inevitable. He really is. Goal and an assist in 8 games already this season is a Premier League record. It's crazy, absolutely crazy what he's doing. You're witnessing a Premier League great. You really are. Like, there you go. What's this for the assists?
Yeah, all-time assists in the Premier League.
You can throw up all-time assists, all-time goals. He's on there. He's on the board for all of them, and if he signs a contract and stays for another few years, he'll be in top 1 or 2 for these as well.
Do you know the crazy part? Big up G, bro.
Maybe not 1. Sorry, he won't get 1.
Do you know what it is, Caviar?
Big up G.
I'm always looking at like performances in it. I think that's
you might have to stop it. Honestly, we might have to stop. And I hear it because you're a football coach, and I call myself a football purist. Like I want to see a player put in 90 minutes of hard work, effort, touch, control, everything, composure, dynamism, and get the goals and assists. I know, but we might just have to stop it because
no, but I hate it, bro.
Like,
Cav, you know the reason why I can't now? I feel like I'm so far in now. If I back out of what I feel, I'm like, nah, he can't be a man of his word. And I want to be a man of my word. I just feel performances are key. And today, performance was cold. And then another day, he might not perform, and then I can question it. But I feel like at the moment, bro, he can't do nothing wrong. And that's mad. He can't. At this moment in time, no matter what you think, and it's great because the round table, well, it wasn't the round table one. It was just, was it one with him, Alisson, and Robbo? And he's like, yeah, sometimes I know I'm at the game. And then Robbo was like, yeah, we know you're not in the game. And he was like, no, but I stay in the game. I just wait for my moment kind of thing. And he's just, bro, this season he's just been on it. And I don't think we should go far away from like analyzing the performance. But yes, give him the praise where praise is due. And today might not have been his best game in terms of from a finishing standpoint, but the performance for me was outstanding. I think he was calm in the game today, man. He was on it. I
think as well. I don't think it's bad to judge performances in any case, but especially with a player that's coming towards the end of his career, looking for his final contract, and he's still your main goal getter and chance creator. I think the fear in some fans might be that, okay, the performances aren't there, but what happens if the goals suddenly dry up? What happens if, the chance creation dries up because you've not got the pace you used to get into the box at the right time? What if, it just does because we've accepted that you're not going to contribute in terms of like tracking back or running with the ball or having too many touches in the game and this and that. But as long as you're our outlet, that's fine. What if that dries up? What if we have to move you into the centre forward position to even get that out of you? Being the main guy on a big contract at the end of his career, you won't want to rely on that. But I just think with Salah, we're not at that with him. I don't feel like it's the same as like Aubameyang or Ozil and these type players. Like Aubameyang, up until he got that final contract, was quality, but he was quality within 10 yards. Like giving the ball inside the 18-yard box, a few movements, a bit of sharpness in the box. He was still the main outlet, but Salah's a bit more than that. Salah's being able to create from anywhere, it seems. So I think that the fear about his performances isn't there for me as it perhaps was before. I just think that he can continue to contribute in this way for a few more seasons yet. So when we talk about contracts with him and stuff, I don't see the risk with it, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously we don't know what money is being asked for, but 20 plus goals seasons for 8 seasons running, I'm not going to bet against he can't do that for another 3 seasons.
Do you know the big up G, bro? The only problem we have at the moment is you see with like a drop off or not even like a drop off, but when the moment he goes, yeah, I'm not as fast, I'm not as strong, it could just happen within the season. So the problem we have at the moment, and I'm obviously just brainstorming now from a Liverpool standpoint, they're like, when will this happen? Because at the moment we're like, it might not happen based on 8 seasons in a row, 20 plus goals and whatever assists. It might never happen. It might just be, he could be like 45 and still throwing up them numbers because of the way he keeps his body and stuff.
I think the risk is like, I thought if you give him big money, right? 350, 400,000, 3-year contracts. He gets injured, right?
Yeah.
He gets injured, he misses that time, but then it's the recovery at his age, right? And I know he's mega fit, which probably separates him from a lot of people his age as well. It recovers. if he doesn't recover back to what he was, what players left for big money, and that's the risk that's being weighed up. I feel is that yes, he's great now, and if you have this Salah for the next 3 years, he's worth the money. You've always got to weigh up what happens, because every player gets injuries. It seems like Salah's the only one that doesn't really. But let's say he gets an injury now at his age, how well does he recover? Because if he doesn't recover back to the player he is, he's not worth the money, So I think that's it's not happened this far, other than what was his injury last season, and he struggled a little bit. Yeah, he struggled a little bit coming back from that, didn't he? He didn't finish the season well, but besides that, he's always been available. So I don't think that would happen. But that's when you're talking big money, then you've really got to start, weighing up this risk.
No. G, do you want to time in on this one? Let me go and quickly make a drink, and then we'll move on to the next goal scorer, the one that's in the media a lot for some reason.
Yeah, I think I don't think Salah was that good in the game. I'll be honest. I felt like very wasteful, man. Like it was getting like annoying at one point. I was like, yeah, you're actually starting to piss me off with how wasteful you can be, because you never know. Football swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Kudus hits the bar. West Ham get. It's those kind of little things. Of course, listen, you win 5-0, so in the grand scheme of things, it actually doesn't really matter. But I did feel he was wasteful, man, and I didn't really like that about his performance. In a general sense. But he walked away with free GA or wherever it was in this game. So that's just Salah, man. Like I said this before, when when everyone was cussing him about the level of performances, I was like, you see, with someone like him, Cav, I think Cav kind of like spoke about it there anyway. With someone like him, it's not really about the performances, because his GA will always kind of outweigh the performances anyway, because of his level of GA is, I wouldn't say it's Haaland level, because I don't think it's that kind of level, but it's like you're so consistent. You're just so consistent with what you do that I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, because I too agree with Enz. I don't think you should shy away from looking at performances. But he's the only one. He's literally the only one in the team where you can kind of just count on him all the time. Oh, sorry, let me not say it, because no one's all the time, but you know what I mean. You can count on him more than you can count on anybody else, right? And I just felt like me and Jerry was watching the game, and we were just like at times I was like, I forgot Salah was even on the pitch at times. It's only when I guess a couple of the times he did a few dribbles. Obviously the goal for Diogo Jota. Obviously that nice little passage of play there, but other than that, I didn't look at his performance and think, yeah, Salah was amazing today. I really didn't think that, but I didn't think Liverpool were amazing today either. West Ham were so bad. It was honestly like we had West Ham fans behind us saying, we don't even want a goal, we just want a shot on target. We don't want to ask him for a goal. We just want a shot.
Both things can't be true. West Ham were bad. They were bad, right? The amount of times we just dispossessed them with a clean tackle.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not.
But like, we were good.
I'm not saying that like we were. Like, obviously, I'm not saying we're shit, right? Like it wasn't that kind of vibe. But I promise you, it never felt like, oh my goodness, Liverpool are. Like it was never that. But that was actually a good thing, though. Like that's actually, I love that. I prefer that, to be honest with you, because the reality of that is that you just showed that we're just a better team than you. We've got better players than you. We've got players that can hurt you at any given moment in time. I promise you, we all sat there, and it was just, like I said, that was the moment when I sat there and the guys behind us, and we was just like, yeah, like West Ham was so bad, was so bad that Liverpool didn't have to work for the goal. It wasn't, oh my goodness, we're popping it about prime Barcelona. And by the way, I'm not saying that it has to be that, of course, but it was never ever that. It really like Liverpool didn't move out of neutral the entire game. Honestly, like I don't know how else to explain it, but like the fans, the home fans, they're booing their team off because they're not even trying. Like it just felt like a Sunday league game where you're up against this team who are so shit that you don't need to do that much in order for you to be like, oh yeah, you know what, you just got to do this. You have to make sure you're in this position, that position. One thing I will mention though, that the West Ham fans picked up on was Liverpool looked so organized though. Everybody knew where they needed to be. Everybody knew what they needed to do. It didn't even look like we needed to speak. We didn't, like, the players didn't even look like they needed to communicate with each other, etc., etc. Everybody knew where they needed to be, and they were in awe of that because obviously their team is in, disarray and managers, not performing well and stuff like that. But Liverpool just looked organized. Virgil van Dijk, the guys, like, this guy was literally at one point he's walking with the ball. Like, he's actually walking with the ball, getting the other I can't remember who striker was at the time. It might have been Bowen before he came off. He's walking with the ball to get Bowen to just come and press real quick. I'm just gonna pop it off. I'm just gonna pop it off to whoever it was, Kwanzaa or Gomez or whoever it is. Then Ali looked like Ali's wearing gloves on a football pitch, and he looks like he was cold, blowing his hands and that. I was like, is it that, like, that's how bad West Ham were? Like, it was so bad. But listen,
the thing
Liverpool
is, West Ham were bad, right? But when we talk about what you've got to do to win a league title, we always say, yeah, beating the top 6 is great, but actually it's beating all the rest of the teams that's important. That's how I like in Liverpool's performances right now, right? We make other teams look terrible. We make it look like preseason games because, yes, it's not wave after wave of attack, but we're doing all the little things right.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, 100%.
Like,
I agree.
Our passing's sharp, accurate, right, to feet or in front of the man. It's not particularly sloppy. You talk about everybody knew where they needed to be because they're set up right. There is that, but they're in the position, and they're in the position ready to be aggressive, ready to duel, ready to win the ball. They're not running 10 yards just to get close to the man that's on the ball. They're already there as soon as the guy's receiving it, right? So that's trying to press and that's trying to win the ball back. But when they're on the ball, our midfield, and I'm not afraid to say it, it's so dynamic with McAllister and Gravenberch especially. Be it feinting on the ball, allowing the ball to roll past your body, receiving it on both foot, dropping the shoulder, running by somebody, carrying it, or just playing a simple 1-2 and beating the team. It's so aggressive and dynamic in that midfield that, along with the organization and your set position being correct, it makes the game look easy because you're doing all the small things correctly. And you dangle the bit of quality that we have up top as well. Gakpo cutting in and shooting, and Salah managed to find people with like through balls and all these kinds of things. Like, we're making the game look easy because we've got quality, but we've also not resting on that quality. We're not resting on just being, outstanding individual footballers, and we're not resting solely on being hard workers. Actually, we're doing everything in between as well. And West Ham were terrible. Don't get me wrong. The amount of times, especially in that second half, they tried to carry the ball in midfield, and they were just being tackled. I mean, the amount of tackles that Jota won and just ran up the pitch was incredible, right? McAllister winning a tackle and coming away from the ball, but that is partly down to West Ham being terrible, not being team, not being organized, running out of position, vacating spaces, and all these things. But also, Liverpool needs to be so ready to win that ball back, and they need to be so ready to drive into the space, and they need to be so aware of their teammates around them and what runs they're making to be able to link up to get close to the goal, to get a shot away and score the 5 goals that they did. That I think, I personally, I'm with you. I don't think West Ham were very good today, but we killed their spirit. I mean, imagine you just spoke about Virgil, right? Imagine being an opposition player and coming up against Virgil van Dijk. You just what would you do? Like, no wonder
I want a one-on-one, Cav. I just want a one-on-one with him just to see.
you know what's mad, about the whole.
I want a one-on-one just to see.
And then just finally before you go,
sorry, go.
Because this is what I wanted to end on. That being said, right, is we've always looked at like the Barcelona 4-0 and these European games and even Premier League games as well, where we're smashing Arsenal and Liverpool come out the blocks flying, and it's wave after wave after wave of attack. We win the ball back, you can't get out of your own half. It looks incredible, right? And we think that's the top performance, which it is, right? But I think if you sit down and really analyze these performances as well, yes, they probably don't have the emotion. Yes, they probably don't have the excitement of those games or those moments in games. But actually, in terms of footballing performance, it's as good. It's as good. I would say you're arguably getting more right in this 90 minutes of football than you are in some of them big European ties where we just look like we were attacking wave after wave. Because that attacking wave after wave was energy, it was pressing, it was gem pressing, it was dropping back, it was being aggressive, and it was catching the opposition off guard, right? And that persisted for so long. But this is 90 minutes of football where we did some of that, but so much else as well, just pure control and tempo. And that's why I hear what you're saying, G, but I can't agree when we say Liverpool weren't amazing. I actually think we were, just in many different ways. That's all.
No, you big up. I'll let Quasi go in a
No,
second.
big up, big up, Cav.
I think it's listen, I agree, to be honest, with more or less everything that you're saying. Maybe the choice of words could have been different, but I guess you know what it is. It's you know it, Cav. You go to games like quite a lot. And you know what you said the key phrase there. It's like we just killed their spirit, bro. Like when I say killed their spirit, it got to the point where like you can just feel it in the ground that like West Ham, honest, I promise you, they just stopped trying for whatever reason, whether it's killed their spirit, the team, whatever it was. Let's just say it was a multitude of things, right? And of course, Liverpool had to. Of course, they've got to be good enough to go and execute the plan after that and etc. Which I totally agree with. But I promise you, Liverpool were in neutral the entire game. They did not have to come out of that at all. Now, whether that's because of how great we were, whether how poor, it doesn't even matter. I promise you, we did not exert that much energy. Like if you saw the body language of a lot of the players, you could see from that it wasn't a case of like, what's a performance I could probably pick out? Maybe like when we faced Manchester United away early on in the season, we won 3-0. We had to put in a bit of work at that. It was early part of the season. Arne Slot still getting used to the team, used to the tactics, used to the style, etc. And of course, we're facing Manchester United away at Old Trafford, which is always going to be a difficult game. It's a derby, etc. There's a level of, would I say, a rivalry obviously included in that. This was not like that at all. And for me, when I watch those kind of performances, I like those. Like, I'm not even saying this all of that to say, oh, I hated that. No. I like that because it was just, you were just calm. Like everyone was so calm. Like I said, Virgil, calm. Ali, I forgot about Ali anyway. Like I barely saw him in the game. Trent, the passing was too dumb. Like even Robbo was a bit myth, but cool, whatever. But the rest of the team, the Gravenberchers, the McAllisters, like Curtis Jones, some of the touches this guy was doing was ridiculous. Like it just was so calm that it just felt like we were just sitting there. When you just sit there, just smiling, you're just like, yeah, that was all right. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I swear, I watched. I swear, I looked at the time. It was like 65 minutes. I was like, "What are we gonna do for another half an hour?"
Thank you.
The game's what? I was like,
"What are you gonna do?" Like it's boring at this point. Like we're not doing it. It's just
let's try a different formation. Let's try something.
And I promise you, I sat there and said, I want Dan's. I said, yo, where's Dan's, man? Just throw Dan's on, let him get a couple touches here and there. And, it's all of that kind of, and I just want people to understand, it's not about, like people saying, no, there's perfection is Barcelona. Liverpool will never reach that kind of height, I don't think, because we don't have those kind of players and we don't play that style of football. That was perfection for me. But what I'm talking about in this instance is that what's so great about the performance as a whole is purely the fact that you can play in gear one, let's say at a push, you put yourself into gear one and you walked away with 5-0 winners, and West Ham didn't even look like they could get near you at any point until Somerville came on. That's when the game got actually interesting. Other than that, it was fucking boring. Like it just got to 3-4, 5-0, Salah doing fucking nutmegs in the box and that. I was like, what is even going on here? Like this is looking actually crazy. But
I'm pleased that they kept their concentration though, and they kept moving the ball, because
that's
that's something we've seen of our side.
That part that I was worried about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're goals up. Let's just take our foot off the gas. Let's rest the legs if we can. We don't need to run that extra 5 yards, and suddenly you can see a couple of goals, and Ali's fuming because he's lost his clean sheet because he's not had one yet since coming back from injury. And suddenly it's a little bit, it won't be, but it's a bit of a dampener. And we had it against Spurs, didn't we? We played well against Spurs. We get the goals, and then suddenly, a few shaky moments because we switch off. And you keep doing that, and suddenly then we're like, are we really that strong in this title charge? Because we seem a little bit leaky, and we seem to be switching off a bit. But getting the clean sheets just makes you feel it. Just gives you that extra bit of aura, I guess.
It's exactly what I was saying, man. I wanted us to go back to stop conceding goals. We had the Newcastle 3 goals. We had Fulham 2 goals. You know what I mean? And he was just like, can we just get back to just conceding maybe 1 and then or none at all? And I think that's what we've now done. But listen, the man of the hour, Trent, Kwasi, I'll go to you with this one, man. Big up for joining. Big up to everyone watching as well. Well over 100 of you guys across both platforms. Make sure you guys are, dropping a like. But Trent today, boy, and then the celebration. There's too much talking going on at the moment. There's too much nonsense, across the fan base, maybe across the media outlets.
Man, bro.
Slapped one in the back of the net and just said, you guys are talking too much. Let me do my thing.
I mean, honestly, let's talk before the game. That weekend news that came from that publication, right? The most disappointed people were the Liverpool fans. The way we reacted, that was embarrassing and disappointing. As a Liverpool fan, you should never do that. Marca is known to do that, to create a situation where the player becomes the evil one. And then you start hating him, and then he's like, okay, if you guys don't like me, then I'm going. The same thing they did that book, the playbook to Mbappe. The whole PSG started hating Mbappe because Marca said whatever he said. But today, Trent, I felt like Marca was my man of the match, but Trent was very close, very close. He played very well. His defensive and his passes were both 50-50 today for the first time this season, or maybe second or third. But his goal was needed. He needed to go. He needed that goal, and he needed to celebrate to shut people up, because Trent needs to make a decision for him and his family. If he stays, great. If he goes, thank you for your contract that you already fulfilled. That's the part where Liverpool fans seem to not understand. He did his contract. We just want to give him a new one. If he stays, he stays. If he leaves, thank you for what you did. But today's game, I think Trent was more of the old school Trent that we don't want to leave to go to Madrid. His passes, he wasn't forcing it. He kept it very simple. Once in a while, he'll give us one of those Hollywood passes. And I thought it was much better than what he did against Leicester. Because Leicester, I thought he was just throwing bombs, just Baghdad, like he was throwing bombs to Baghdad the whole time. But today, Trent is old school Trent, like, we all love him.
Do you think, a question for you, Enz, I just wanted to see Trent as a right back, right? I don't want to see him play midfield. I don't want to see him drifting into midfield. I just play right back because you can create so many assists, as you have done from that position, right?
Right.
But I might have to retract a little bit on that, because his goal comes from being in the center of the park, right? And he has still been drifting into the middle of the park. Dare I say that he's been educated on that a little bit better from Slot or Slot's coaches. He seems to be occupying them, doing the inverted thing a lot better. His moments when he pick and chooses to go into midfield seems a lot better, and he just doesn't seem to be getting caught out as much. Now, that just might be because Liverpool are in a good moment. It might be that Liverpool have got players around him and behind him that have managed to recover from transitions for him and things like that. But I don't know. I just recognize I don't want to see him in them central areas. I just want to see him at right back. But when he's gone in there, I've kind of thought this isn't so much of a problem like it used to be. And I just wonder if maybe he's been coached a bit better.
Do you know the problem with it is because he's such a good technical gifted player and he's got such a great pass on him. It's sometimes hard, isn't it? Because the player in his mind, he's like, I can affect the game if you put me in areas where I can go and help the team create or maybe score like he did today. The problem is we obviously want a right back. We want our right back to stay at right back. In his mind, he's now developing or evolving into this half-bred type of midfielder / defender, but his attributes are more for the attacking side of the game more than the defensive side of the game. And that's not to say he can't defend. You're right. I think he's picking the right moments now to go into that area. The problem is, man, I feel like, and I wanted to see him in that midfield area, if I'm being honest, bro. I wanted to see if he could actually go and play that position. But listen, I don't know if that's going to ever happen. I don't know if that's going to happen for us or ever happen maybe if he goes to Real Madrid. But you're right, in terms of picking his moments. And you can see that even when Bradley's coming. One of the goals against Real Madrid, Bradley's literally in the 10 position. That's our right back, laying off a pass into McAllister to take the shot from inside the box. So I think just the tactical setup that Arne Slot is doing, he's assessing the players, he's looking at what they're good at, how they can affect the games, and he's putting them in, trying to put them into positions where they can massively affect the game from a positive standpoint more than a negative standpoint. Because you can tell a Trent, you can easily come in and go, Trent, you're right back, stay right back. Sit there and just do the defensive. But that's taken away from the player. That's taken away from what he can actually offer. And I think that's what happens with him sometimes. And he gets bored, because then that's when you start seeing him, maybe from the Leicester game, got bored. He played pretty much more as a right back in that game, apart from that one moment where he steps out and loses out, and obviously we concede from it. And that's why he kept spamming certain things, long balls, crossing. But when he gets the freedom to express himself, and that's difficult because that means you need Robbo to then tuck in, because Robbo can't go and do his job. That means you're taking away from his job. You're taking away from probably Virgil. You're taking away from Ibu, because now Ibu has to go, well, if Trent goes and express himself, I need to make sure I'm here. Gomez has done that job great until obviously his injury today. So when he goes and does that, you take away from everyone else around you. Take away from maybe a McAllister. Take away from maybe a Soboslai. Take away from more of a Gravenberch, because they want to get on the ball and get into those areas. But because we've got a Trent in our team, he wants to go and express himself. You can't allow him not to go and express himself, because he'll get bored. And if he gets bored, that means he might get... It's not that he's going to be lazy and doesn't want to work for the team, but he has that moment where the lapse of concentration sets in because he's not going to do what he wants to do. Today, you could see he went and did what he wanted to do. So defensively, he was all right today. I thought he was fine. Done his tackling, done his tracking back, done his 1v1 drills and defended well. But the Leicester game, he was getting bored because he didn't get to go and do the express himself thing in it. And then that's when he started spamming. So I think he's such a difficult player to manage, because you look at him, you go, I'll just move him into a different position. But you can't, because he's had all of his success from right back. Do I take him out there? Do I leave him there? Like, what do you now do? Like,
you talk about, you just said it though, Enz. You just said it. He's a difficult player to manage. But when you think about what we've seen and what we've heard from Slot, right? And Robbo spoke about it recently, that Slot asked fullbacks to do different things for different games. It's game by game management, right? He's tweaking whether I want you to be wide, inverted, central, push up, drop off, whatever it is, right? He's tweaking it game by game to suit the opposition, which is something you and I spoke about before. We love that game-to-game management, right? But also, we can all see that his defending has improved, okay? His one-on-one defending especially, his body shape's a lot better. His side on is lower. He looks like he's on his toes. He's anticipating the man running at him, and he's wanting to win that ball as opposed to being accepting that the guy's going to go by him. And now he seems to, I'm not going to go as far as say enjoying it, but he seems to be taking his defending a bit more seriously.
Yeah, he is.
Right? And then you can see when you watch the games, and whether it's just because it's the cameras pick up these moments, it's coincidence, but Slot tells you can see him tweaking. You see him tweaking Trent's position. He's like, get back a little, or push on, or hold there, or whatnot. He's instructing him. So you talk about being managed, right? Defending's improving. Got the option to play as a fullback or go into the midfield as an inverted fullback, and it changes game by game. I think he's being perfectly managed. And you talk about development for a player, right? I think the contract situation has probably come a bit too soon for him. I think he would have loved for his contract to be up next year, because I think he'd love to continue under Slot for a bit longer, because the education he's getting seems to be perfect. Because if you cast your mind back to, you know, a year or so ago, where we were, you know, we stuck him in midfield because we needed to, and then we were like, well, should we play in midfield? Should we play him 10? Should we play him fullback? He got into the England side in as, you know, played midfield, and then we were like, maybe he should play right back in. So much confusion around what is a quality player. Now he seems to have struck a balance. Now he seems to be a manager that's willing to say, I'll educate you on everything, and I'm going to tweak you game by game, and it's going to get the best out of you. That's proper management. And that's honestly, I think obviously I want Trent to stay. I want the saga to be over, to be honest with you. But I just look at him, if he's purely focusing on football, forget trophies, because we know you probably win more if you go to Madrid. But think about your actual game. I think he's under a quality manager to develop that even further.
Kev, I was gonna challenge your question a little bit. The reason why I do not want us to fall into that trap again of Trent go to the midfield is because when he start playing well, we assume that he will be great in midfield. And I think that also goes to the debate that you and G were having earlier, that we are so good, the other team look like crap, right? So you don't know whether are we so good or the other team look like crap. So just like you said, I think the manager is using him so well, and he's also, and we have to credit him, he's taking heed of all the instructions so well. Now we are back to that same argument again. Maybe he should play midfield.
I'm not in that argument. I know the answer for that. If you don't want to have that argument, feel free.
We ain't having that argument.
You know what I mean? So I would think that Trent is good at where he's at, and where he's at allows him to express himself more. Now, the part where you don't want people like Trent, like the persona of Trent, is you don't want to get him bored. Keep him excited. You know, you have youths who they get bored. They sit in classroom and they cause a lot of trouble. It's not because they don't want to study. It's just they're bored. You have to keep their mind stimulated with something. And Virgil is one of those people, right? So I would think that, and I am 1,000% agree with you. Under Slot, we seeing the evolution of the Trent world-class talent. Now, people could debate whether he's a world-class player or not. That's fine. But the talent that we are seeing under this manager, we are seeing the evolution of it. Because I would think by now he would do better in the midfield under this manager than the Klopp one, because Klopp was just all attack. But still, this manager is still saying, no, you my right back. And there's a reason. So with me, keep him at right back, keep him stimulated with whatever he needs to do so that he's all action. But we should not get him excited to be like, go play midfield. Yeah, you could bomb forward and invert or overlap or underlap, whatever you need to do to score a goal like he did today. And you, like you said it very well with Bradley, almost scored at least 3 goals where he came from the 10th position. So I think that Trent stay at right back, do what you need to do, and the manager keep tweaking him and see where he becomes best. And I promise you, if he goes anywhere else, it's going to be different, because he is not going to have that same manager to kind of like move him around and say, do this, do that, because they expect him to know it already, right?
Yeah, you know, looking at his just a few of his stats from the game today, man. Even though his crossing, he only completed 2 out of 8, but that's neither here nor there. But created 2 big chances in the game, 4 duels out of 8. You know, made 4 tackles and 3 times dribbled past, but I didn't even see that. Apart from the one when he just gave up, the other one he kind of just shoved the guy over.
You maybe never get it completely out of him, man.
Yeah, and then 3 clearances. So he was a lot better. He finished with an 8.7, you know, to the ratings of Sofa's score. But other than that, he was just fine today, man. He was,
you know that saying that's been going around recently. Stats are like bikinis, right? Those stats that you just read there. That's why people say that phrase. If I told you those stats, and if the narrative for the game, let's say you didn't watch the game or anything like that, and I came on here, or you came on here, Cav or Quasi, and we said Trent was kind of poor, and you read out those stats, You would, if no one had seen the game, you would instantly say he was bad, right? Obviously, you watched the game. You know, he wasn't bad. You know, he actually played pretty decent, right? That's why with these stats things, it's like, it's so difficult, man. Like, honestly, you just work it to your favor, man. Like, it provides me no context whatsoever, because the reality is, you just said that you got 2 out of 8 crosses. Well, that's shit. You know what I mean? Like, that is actually shit. When you actually think about it, that, like, to get 2 out of 8, that's poor for someone of your quality. That's not good. But I watched the game. He was actually good. Some of the passes were so stupid. Yeah, like, I messaged you straight after that.
Can you remember the grass cutter through to
the
Salah?
grass cutter one was dumb. That was a dumb cross. That was.
I promise you, where we were sitting, we were literally looking at him make the pass. I don't know if the TV caught it, but the curl on the pass was so dumb that I thought the defender was going to fall over, because he couldn't even, like, it went through his legs. That's how mad the pass was. I was like, oh, me and Jerry just looked at each other and said, nah, I'm done with this, man. Like, I'm actually done. Like, how can you do that pass? And he just did it. It's like he did it. He just walked off. I said, what? You can't just walk off after that. Who are you? Like, what is this? Like, you can't just walk away and act like nothing just happened. But he was doing that all game, though, spraying the ball out to Gakpo or to whoever was on that side, you know, playing like cute little passes, you know, inside. And honestly, like that. And that's why I say about the stats kind of thing. And this is just more for people who, I guess, if you side too much with one side, it can hurt your argument. Just watch the game in it and inform your opinion. Let the stats be, I guess, something that you can potentially use to back up that opinion. Fair enough. Yeah. But don't just look at the stats and then say this, that, and the third, because he was actually pretty decent in the game. Like, he actually was. But of course, stats might not back it up in, you know, in this context here.
Yeah. Quick question. That pass that Virgil from one corner flag to another to, like, the forehead of Salah, like, I see that and I'm like, how does he do that? Like, the ball looked like it's a cushion every time Salah stops it. I don't know whether it's the pass or the person stopping the ball. I mean,
it's probably a mixture of both, but I promise you, some of the passes, like, you know what, it's because I haven't been to a Liverpool game for like a few months, and maybe that's just what it is. I just haven't seen Liverpool players pass the ball for time in real life. But when I'm watching some of the passing, I was like, yeah, you see some of you, man, who come on YouTube and say this brother's shit, yeah. Nah, you're gonna have to keep quiet for a little while, you know. You're gonna have to keep quiet for a little while.
Go get a football and see if you can go do that.
Yeah.
Cav, you know, when I got home, like, I just got home like maybe like 10 minutes before you guys started streaming. I went to the garden. I was like, hey, let me pump up my football real quick. I need to practice real quick, because the way these lot were spraying the ball was so bad. I said, nah, I'm going to the park tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I'm going to the park, and I promise you, I'm going to be trying to play these passes, because it was absolutely dumb. But in regards to this, but these are all good. Virgil, fantastic passer anyway. We know that. It was easy for him. Salah, he's really good when it comes to. He's good at when that crossfield pass always comes in. He seems to have mastered this whole thing of understanding his surroundings. So the touch just needs to, like, the touch always looks good, but it's because he's already looked around over his shoulder. He's already caught that. Well. Oh, Gomez, you know, so he can pull out a pass. Kwanzaa, I've seen, you know, pop out a pass. Obviously, Trent, we know. Gravenberch, McAllister, you know, at times. Like, I think everybody in the team is quite comfortable. Like, obviously, there's different levels, but yeah, everyone is comfortable in, you know, making a pass, like, if they need to go out there.
Can we, you know, the Trent diagonal to Gakpo, right? Or Mane in the past or whatever. That's incredible accuracy, incredible pass, whatnot. But we've seen it so often that I think we're probably not appreciating, and you just said it, Quasi. the pass from Virgil to Mo, that's a tough pass, you know, from a right footer to play it to the right of the pitch.
Like,
yeah, it's you know, Trent's one over to the other side of the pitch. He's swinging his foot in that direction, right? He's cutting across the bottom of the ball or whatever he's hitting it. But for Virgil as a right footer to hit it to the right, I think that's crazy. That's crazy. I know it's a bit further forward anyway, but I'm just imagining myself on the pitch trying to hit that pass. I think that's well difficult because you've almost got to bring it back round.
Yeah,
haven't you?
And I'm gonna ask And you being the coach, how do you tell the kids when the ball is in the air? What are you thinking? I mean, how because you have to have confidence. Because if you mess it up, everybody's watching.
No, it's mad because before the ball is played, there's so much you have to do before it,
Exactly.
and that's why this is why I get irritated when people just diss the players, bro. Sometimes, and so that it seems like I'm always the one defending them because I'm like, you don't understand before that ball's even played, how much stuff you have to think about. Your position. Have you scanned? Have you seen where the dangers are? Are you in the right position so when it drops, the next person needs to run off the shoulder of you to create that space? There's so much that happens within that small moment when they're like, he's just shit. I'm just like, yeah, I can't even be bothered, bro, because I just want to sit and debate and I can't be bothered. We don't have enough time in the day to debate this, bro, because there's so much I can say what a player needs to do. So when they're like that, it's not even just confidence, bro. Confidence is just a part of it anyway, but there is so much details. When Virgil plays that pass, Gakpo needs to know where he needs to be. Whoever is in the middle, Diaz needs to know. Curtis has to know where he needs to be. Trent needs to know where he needs to be. Just because of that one pass. And imagine, right, if we just track back, right, for an example, we track back and we've won it and you're like, give me a second, and then Virg sprays it to Mo. All of a sudden, Trent's probably looking at him like, bro, but I now need to get into that position because if Mo can't have a pass, I have to be his outlet down the line.
Right.
If I'm not there, then Mo's going to be screwing at me because I should have been there because that's now the new sequence. So when they're like, oh, my man's lost the ball, I'm like, yeah, but the guy down his outlet didn't offer him up the space. But I already know because we've just literally stopped the counter attack. So for him to now sprint, I'm like, he's probably tired as shit, bro, for him to do that. But yeah,
you're right though, Wenz. If you remember one of Curtis's chances, right? Virgil diagonal to I think it was Virgil, diagonal to Salah, right? Exactly that situation. Curtis, Salah touches it. Curtis is running. He runs about 50 yards beyond the defenders. Salah plays him through and plays him the ball as for the underlap, and then he gets a shot and Areola saves it. But you're dead right, Curtis. If he's probably tired getting back already. This is where we've got to credit some things that maybe other fans won't credit. They'll credit the goals, the assists, the passes, the stats. Credit Curtis. Yes, he didn't score the goal, right? He should have done better. He should have lifted it over the keeper more, right? But we shouldn't take away the praise that he just ran 40 yards to give Salah an option. Salah finds him with the underlapping pass, and then it's a shot on target. And that's exactly what you're saying, Enz. It's like we can credit the diagonal and the accuracy from Virgil. We can credit Salah's touch. But we can't stop there. We have to credit the players that are making up the ground when all that's happening as well. And Curtis, in that moment, he could have easily just jogged and got to the edge of the 18-yard box and let Salah do his thing, but he didn't. He gave Salah the option by making the underlapping run after just running 40-odd yards. And that's what you need to lay credit to as well. And it all ties back to what we were saying. West Ham was shit. Yes, they were. But look at that work that our team were putting in, though. Yes, it was a chance. It was a chance missed. It should have been a chance scored. But let's not take away from the fact that it was an incredible pass, incredible touch, incredible pass again from Salah into Curtis, and incredible from Curtis running that amount of yards, setting himself with his left foot and managing to get the shot away with his right. It just wasn't the accuracy that it was required to score the goal. But looks simple, and it's not. It's doing basics. It's doing basic things well, sprinkled with the quality to be able to do it as well.
Right. I know the crazy thing is, as much as people say, "Oh, American sport," you literally just explain. Let's say Patrick Mahomes being the quarterback and Virgil being the quarterback and everybody making a play. That's exactly what you just explained. Because Salah, you go deep. You go deep and set the ball. Whoever is coming from midfield, you cut short. And you have to be there at the right time because if you don't, it's a counterattack coming back towards us. And Trent is upset because I just ran 50 yards that way, came back. Now I have to, bro, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
the best coaches, though, are the ones that recognize if that's the pattern of play we're going with, if it falls short or you can't make the yards, what are we doing in their moments then?
The recovery.
Because like you say, if Trent can't make up the yards in that moment, cool. You need to know if you can't make up the yards that you need to stick in your position as right back because your immediate thought then is if the winger's not gone, I need you set to defend that. But also, if you're not going to make the yards to make the underlap or occupy midfield, that then somebody else will, and that you can vacate the right back position. So if Salah needs to bring the ball back to you, or you're the second phase of creating and you put a cross in, you can. So it's not always about the plan A working out and making sure you're doing them runs. Sometimes if you can't do that, what do you do next? And that's what Liverpool do so brilliantly. And I don't think we lay a lot of credit to is we have so many patterns of play. We have so many ways of attacking. Yes. But how intelligent are our footballers when that pattern of play don't work out? What is their positioning like? And more often than not, it's very good. And we've seen it before. We used to get counter-attacks all the time, you know, and Trent's position was such a problem every week because it was just defend this from Liverpool and you can attack them straight away. Now we're attacking in different ways, yes, but we're still attacking. We're still vacating positions. It's just we're so set when we lose the ball, you know, much better now, I feel. And that's where the control comes back into it as well. We're not going to press and gem press to win the ball back. We're just got to be positionally correct. Right. And we've got to know that when our system breaks down or it doesn't pan out the way we expect it, are we within 5 yards of where we should be to be able to recover in time?
That's the crazy part. It's just the distances. Big up to Honesty, man. Love for throwing everyone's links in there. Myself, G's, and obviously Quality's one in there as well. Big up to, I'm gonna call you 7, bro, because I ain't gonna read the rest of that. Let's get into the final.
How did he think about a name like that, man?
Yeah, big up for the super chat though. Love for the love, man. I don't know about Lyndon Chiesa. Big up to King Kush in the building as well. So this pause thing is bro, I know it's childish. Here's the problem: when you do content, what people end up doing is clip you up. So that's why we have to add that.
That's why we have to do it.
How about you just don't say some crazy shit? How about that?
You can't when you speak football, bro. G, come on. When we speak football, there's too many.
Wait a minute. G,
go long, go deep. G needs to hold man off.
Yeah, you see, you could have said that in many different ways, though. You don't have to say.
No. G, as you posted something like that on Twitter a couple months ago about football terminology, and you'll be like, "Whoa, that is wild!" Exactly,
no, bro. When I was a kid, I'm a grown adult now. Like I understand the terminologies. I'll say it differently. I'll phrase it differently now. Like I'm not gonna get caught slipping. No way.
I wanted to kind of talk about Jota's game, but there's no point, to be fair, man. He just got a simple pass, and the goal was good, though, to be fair. Great finish. But I want to talk about my man of the match for the game, and then you guys can share your man of the match, and we'll wrap it up there. For me, this man was my man of the match. There's games, and there's moments, and there's times in the season where you can say this man hasn't been good enough, and that's fair. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it's whack and it's shit. And his shit opinions. But today, bro, there was things that he was doing in the game, like just mopping up the play, and just like it felt like he was everywhere at once, and it felt like he was all over the place. It felt like we just had a team of McAllisters on their own, bar the 11. He was just mopping up, winning the ball, playing progressive passes. Defensively, he was calming the game down. For me, he was just everywhere, bro. He was, for me, yeah, today he was amazing, man. And sometimes these things go unnoticed because everyone just looks at the goals and they look at the assists and they look at, you know, the mainstays, the Mo's, the Virgils, the Trents with the phenomenal passes, and they look at Cody on form and Diaz in the false 9 because they don't like Nunes, whatever it may be. So sometimes the performances of like players go unnoticed. But today, McAllister, man, from a passing standpoint, defensive standpoint, the progressive passing to calm the game down when he needed to. There was some of the passes he made as well. There's one I think he tried to play to Gravenberch and he miscontrolled it, or he hit his heel. It might have been Cody. But every pass he tried today after nicking it off one of their players was a progressive pass. But he was aggressive in his challenging. Some people say we misprofiled him in terms of what we expected him to be. He's just an all-action type of midfielder. And I know sometimes when you use those words, they just look at them and go, well, he's not like this massive player that runs around and smashes into people. No, he's not a massive player, but he does that anyway. He gets around the pitch and he smashes into players and he's aggressive as shit. And he doesn't care about, he doesn't pull out of challenges. He doesn't shy away from, adversity in games. He's there when we need him to be. And today he stood up. Let me know you guys think in terms of his performance and in terms of, you know, maybe if he's not your player of the match, but who you thought stood out today.
I go first.
Yeah, go on.
Man of the match for me, Micah. I did a reaction show and I said Micah, but I throw Trent in because of the celebration because I liked it so much. Micah, this is the thing. A lot of, I don't know whether it's called traditionalists or whatever you call them. They like to watch the game based on the position and they don't look at it both ways. The game is defense and offense. You got to look at it both ways, especially this modern football. You can't just say, I'm a striker, so I'm just going to strike. That's it. You got to do both, even if it's 20% of your entire 90 minutes, right? McAllister, I don't know what happened, but it's no coincidence that he's getting more energy. In the last couple of games that he's played, he's been playing with a lot of energy, and his counterpart, who got suspended today, is kind of relaxed a little bit and bringing the energy where needed. So I just think that the argument that Cav was making for Trent, the same thing goes for McAllister now. The idea is it was always there, just like sometimes it feels like he was a second too late in his tackle. He didn't get a yellow card today, and he put some foot in places where
he was everywhere today.
You know what I mean? So it's like I think that maybe the break for him was good. So I'm hoping the same thing happens for Szoboszlai. And maybe the manager also has loosened up the chain and say, okay, all right, my pit bull now you could go 20 more yards rather than you just stay in this quadrant, right? But I think now we are looking at the McAllister that Liverpool wanted. I don't know whether that's what Klopp wanted, but I think now we've seen what Slot wanted from him. All action, go forward. You don't have to just stay in the back and support Gravenberch, as long as you're communicating with your fullback and your center backs. So I'm liking this because Leicester, I think he was the man of the match against Leicester because he did exactly the same thing.
I don't know how he didn't get a yellow card in that game, to be fair. The amount of fouls.
Exactly my point, you know. But I think that now people are paying attention and looking at the game differently because of people like Cav, because of G, because of N, Savage, you know, Zuberi. Because the game is not just because I'm having number 10 in my back or my position is a number 10, I'm supposed to play like Ronaldinho. No, the game has revolved into more instruction-based, you know, more precise. I call it precise football. You have to run 5 yards and stop, and then get the ball and then pass to your left. Compared to back in the day when it was more free flowing. So that's why a lot of people say, "Oh, this game these days is boring, is this and that." No, you have to understand what you're watching. And Slot, it seems like he's a precise type of a person. He does, you know, we were talking about Trent earlier, and I think the same thing he's doing for McAllister. And I think Szoboszlai is also doing the same thing where he's starting to score goals, better assists towards the final third, and then McAllister is also scoring goals and assists. So I don't think it's an accident, but man of the match for me too.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I must admit, I think McAllister is the midfielder that we could have done with for such a long time. You know, he combines work rate, aggression with real technical ability. You know, close ball control, passing, ball carrying. You know, just an all-round, all-action midfielder. I think is a little bit of flair off of being a perfect midfielder, to be honest with you. He doesn't do step overs, he doesn't do the Thiago body feint, he doesn't have the letting the ball run across his body quite like Gravenberch. He doesn't look as silky, but I think if he had a little bit more flair in that respect, then he'd be perfection as a midfielder, to be honest with you. Yeah, you could talk about more goals and assists, but I think you've seen he can do that if he was to occupy more further up positions. He's actually has to do a bit more because he has to pick and choose when he can go further forward. He scores against Spurs when he felt like he could make that third man run into the box. So he showcased that he can do that. Started getting onto corners more now as well, which is a great option for us. It means that Trent can occupy the edge of the 18-yard box. So McAllister's got good deliveries, but it also means a second delivery coming into the boxes via Trent because he's the man that is on the edge. And we know he can take penalties and free kicks. He usually doesn't because other people will get chosen ahead of him, but he can do that as well. So he offers you so much. And he he only had some down performances because of tiredness, in my opinion, and I think that's backed up with the fact that he got a bit of a break, and since he's come back, he's probably been, arguably, and certainly in my opinion and Kwasi's, is that he's been one of the best players on the pitch. So I think he's amazing. I always think that he's the midfielder that would usually go to Man City, and I'm so pleased that we managed to get one of those, because he's a Man City midfielder every day for me. And I've always looked at I compared our team against Man City's in the title head-to-heads and whatnot, and so the only difference really is that they've got a much dynamic midfield than what we've got, and so he fits that bill for them. But actually, we've got him, and it's so pleasing to say that. So I hope he stays fit, and I'm just pleased that we credit him, because he won't get the goals, he won't get the assists, but he does so much that's important for this team. And in the absence of Szoboszlai today, yes, Curtis Jones works hard, but doesn't work as hard as Szoboszlai. So he had to, again, adjust his game a little bit today to make sure that he was switched on, because that extra running wasn't going to be done by his midfield partner. And just to finally say, he's playing alongside Gravenberch, who's having an incredible season, best midfielder in the world right now for me. But that man in front of them is often changing, and might change again with Elliot, back fit now and hopefully getting some match sharpness. And so he's always got to adapt his game slightly to know when to drop off, know when to press, know when to run beyond that number 10, and trust that number 10 is going to occupy his position, that he needs to be really intelligent in the game as well. So, so far, so good in that respect. And that just showcases how good of a footballer he is, to be honest with you. It's not a surprise he's Argentinian, because he demonstrates all them kind of attributes as well.
That's mad from Alexander Wood and Ida McIntyre. I still think about that. I wished he just decided not to retire at the end of the season or leave. Because I just thought we could have got even an ounce of Thiago's magic and sprinkle on this team.
This manager,
but just to be devil's advocate, we do not have a player in our team now that is like that, where he's pure quality but never available. This is a squad now. You know what I mean? We have injuries. Yes, we have injuries, but the best players are usually available in this team. And we don't have this thing where we're going into match days going, if only he was available. I'm cool with the lineup. It's good. Let's go.
Thanks for being a Debbie Downer, bro. I was just, I'm
just saying. I'd have loved it as well. I know I'd have loved it as well, but this midfield's flourishing, and I don't need anything else to upset the apple cart. And Thiago might have just done that.
Fair enough. G, there, you want to add your take, and then we'll wrap it up there.
I don't have a standout, but I liked Luis Diaz's performance. I think he was if I had to pick a man of the match, he was probably the best player on the pitch. His movement off the ball, it's better than I thought. But it was really good in this game. Seemed quite intelligent with his runs. Sometimes he wasn't even getting the pass. Like, we wouldn't even pass him the ball. But he was making that runs. He was causing a nuisance to their back line in terms of, again, it's just the positions that he was just picking up. I liked it.
Real quick. Yep. What you say, that he makes the runs, but we don't find him. Do you think that's the midfielder that we've been missing? That the player who sees those runs and let it go right away?
Yeah. With Liverpool lack a midfielder like that, we've lacked it for God knows how long. Probably since Gerrard days, to be honest. But honestly, but in general, listen, I thought Diaz was. I thought he was just really, really good, man. I just really liked. Even when he was on the ball, he just looked threatening. When he was on the ball, he just looked like. Every time you can see him, in comparison to say a Gakpo, who I didn't think was that good. When you watch Diaz, it looked like they just shook. Oh shit! He's on the ball. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go on the outside? Is he gonna go on the inside? Is he gonna pass? Is he gonna do a 1-2? You have no idea. He probably doesn't either. But that unpredictability, I just thought, in this evening's game, I just thought it was really, really good, man. Mac, I don't think Mac was the best. I actually think Curtis Jones was better than McAllister today, actually, to be fair. Because I felt like with Mac, as good as I felt he was at times defensively today, there was a lot of moments where he shied away from it in terms of doesn't want to show for the pass when he's probably he could be the best option, which then means we have to try and make
Do you know what my pushback?
Difficult.
G, can I push just slightly?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
There is. I know what you mean because I saw that, but that's for me personally, and maybe everyone's not going to share that. It's tactical because sometimes what you have to do is hold your position. Like I'll tell you from like the academy standpoint, right? So they will tell them to stay high and wide or stay high. So one of the midfielders will be like, you're in a position to make space and receive the ball, but that's not your job. We have to play in that confined area to draw them in. Then we're going to use the high and wide player. So even though he can drop in and get the ball or move into a position to receive the ball, if he does that, it nullifies the whole moment of moving that ball into them thirds. So that's why he was staying. Who can I tell you like a position? Not Virgil. Maybe you like Robbo, where you can go high and wide, but he stays central in the three instead of going, oh, Robbo, why don't you push wide? A lot of people like, go wide, man, and receive it, and then you got space and time, right? Then like, if he does that, it nullifies because what they want to do is push them into a full sense of security. So what they will do, they will be like, oh, if them three have it, if we push and win it, that means, oh, they're in trouble. But you're not noticing like a Diaz, and that's where you notice in the first, like, I think 10 to 15 minutes, Diaz dropped out wide to receive the ball a few times because he then picked up the position what Robbo would be in. Because what they did was Robbo will drop, then that means they'll push all their players forward, and then Diaz will drop in and pick it up in that space, and then we outnumber them in them thirds. So that's why. But I get what you mean. Sorry for interrupting.
No, bro. That's an excellent. That was a good rebuttal. I like that rebuttal. I just felt like there was moments though where, how can I put it? The moments there were moments that you've just explained there. There was those moments, 100%. Yeah, of course. I don't expect you to even pick up the ball anyway, and I don't. You being there is just to be there because he was able to draw in maybe like 2-3 players to come towards him, thinking that Virgil was going to pop it into him, and then poof, as you said, it goes into like a Diaz or Salah, whatever kind of thing. But there were other moments where I just felt that the player ended up having to travel with the ball longer than they probably wanted to because you've either not been in the right position to be able to receive the pass when you should have been, meaning that player's now looked at you and said, I can't pass him the ball now because if I give it to him, it's just pointless, or this player's gonna, get tackled and et cetera, et cetera. But again, those are just the little kind of that's the only reason why I didn't have him as the man of the match. But I liked Curtis Jones' performance. He was another one that I just thought, yeah, like, you know what? Cav mentioned it before. He should have scored. Like, I don't know whatever happened, but he didn't score. But he just probably was the touches, man. Again, it was the little night. There was a passage of play I remember he had where it's like he pushed. I can't remember who the hell it was. It might have been Kudus or I can't remember who it was, and he just barged him off the ball. Then he barged the next guy off the ball, and then he got out of the whole situation. The fan behind me was like, how the fuck has he still got the ball? I said, I don't know, but he's got it. So let's just continue. And he just looked like, again, very calm, super composed. No stress for Curtis Jones, in the game. Diaz and Jones. I think those two for me were two players that I really enjoyed watching anyway in the game.
Jones was good. It felt like he felt like he's got his sharpness fully up to scratch
that's
now.
the word.
And he seems to be knowing where he needs. He seems to know where he needs to be in the game. Seems to be carrying the ball at the right times, moving it at the right times. He didn't hold on to it for too long today, as sort of one of the criticisms that's always been labelled at him. He was giving it, going, driving into space and stuff. Yeah, he had an all-round really good performance, to be fair. And it's not surprising that he started the last game as well, didn't he? So he's just finding his groove, And how many times have we had this conversation with Curtis that when he's back and he plays consistently, he seemed to get these performances out of him that we all sit here and praise highly. So fair play to him.
A question to you, yeah, just on that, like obviously speaking about Curtis Jones, but you speaking about like I'll just use the midfield first. Do you think, and I don't know if you was chatting about it earlier on, Do you think because of like you mentioned about like the squad and the rotation, and to be honest, actually any one of you can really answer this, but do you think because like before, for example, where you might have your three midfielders, so I don't know, Gini, Fabinho, and Hendo, as an example, right? And you ain't got no one else who's realistically going to take any one of their spots. Do you think that now because we're in a position where, let's say, Jones will like every player, but this isn't just specific to Jones, but like every player will you have your bad days where 3 games now in a row, you're like, oh, fuck's sake, this guy's not really, he's not really putting in the effort. But guess what? Szoboszlai can come in now for the next 3 games as an example, meaning Jones maybe has to sit out, for a little bit of time, and then it's almost like he's got to fight harder to get back into the team. Do you think that kind of helps us in a sense where, because I've always felt that with our team, I don't think there's any player bar Virgil and Salah who are actually consistent for a long period of time. I think the whole team is actually very inconsistent. But when they are in form, they're really, really good. But obviously when they drop off, that's always been our issue is, shit, this guy's dropped off. We haven't got someone else to really come in. Whereas now you can say, all right, if Curtis doesn't play, so Zobo, do you mind jumping in? No problem. Mac, do you mind jumping in? No problem. Gravenberch, obviously, he's there. Do you think that's kind of helping us moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, you need that. That just shows strength in depth, doesn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, if every single player was in form, you've created the perfect system and the perfect footballing team. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist, right? So every player is going to go through dips up and down in form. And what's important and what the best managers do is find the balances to when to leave them in and play through that patch of bad form and get back to better, or pull them out and put a replacement in. But what we can't overlook as fans is Curtis and Szoboszlai have very similar attributes, right? So it's a little, not quite plug and play, but they're the closest 2 players in terms of profile and what you get out of them on a football pitch, and the influence they have on the rest of the team is very similar. If you go and take either one of them out and put Elliot in, for example, different type of player, different type of runner, occupies different areas, receives the ball in different ways, has different vision, different passes, strikes the ball differently, right? So then that influences everybody else around him. And the best managers pick and choose when to pick them players and try and acknowledge what the impact it's going to have on the rest of the team, but also doing it in the right moment, i.e. considering what opposition you're playing against, right? And this is what we've all loved so far this season, is it seems like Slot seems to have that down to a T. Recognize these 25 players in front of him, pick some that need to stay in the team more often than not, and then rotate the other players in and out, thinking about the opposition, thinking about what that player offers, thinking about the impact on our team, and thinking about whether they are in good form or not, and chopping and changing it, thinking about fitness. That's management, and that's what Slot seems to be doing so well. If you don't have the players and the buy-in from the players and the right attitude, which is something I think is overlooked from a lot of other fan bases, but we certainly don't when we come to recruiting our players, the no dickhead policy. Having players that accept sitting on the bench for a couple of games, accept bad form, continue to get their head down and work to get back to a moment where they can play again. And it's going to be quite rare for a player outside of Ali, Virgil and Salah, I would say, to play 3 games as a starter under Slot, because I think to achieve that, you must be in really great form. I think Gakpo is probably the first player I've seen earn that right, maybe Diaz as well, where I think Gakpo starts again against United, and that'll be 3 starts in a row. And I think that's based on the fact that how good he is at the moment. The minute that form drops, he'll be rotated out. He will, because Slot will see that as an opportunity to give him a bit of a rest and whatnot. You've got to really be playing well and be in good form to earn the right to start consistently under this slot in this Slot team. Otherwise, you do get rotated for freshness and whatnot. And we just hope that that puts us in good stead come this, second half of the season, latter stage of the season, and we've still got legs and energy in the tank to get the title across the line. But it's the answer to your question, G. It's certainly a good thing, because it just showcases that we've got options. And we can't, in my opinion, the way football's gone, the amount of games we have to play, we can't be a team that relies on 13 players. You need so many more than that.
17 solid.
Listen, guys, I'll wrap it up there, man. Cav, big up to you. Thanks for jumping in. Quasi, G,
Big up, man.
I've tagged your channels. It's not in the description, guys. It's in the title, so it's very easy. It comes up in blue. If you guys want to go and support the brothers, make sure you please do so. Back tomorrow, man, 10 o'clock, man. I'm going to be doing streams 10 o'clock every day. I'm going to try my best to do it 10 p.m. every day going forward. That's going to be the time slot. We'll chop up Liverpool, man, or whatever else is in the media, whatever else is on the agenda. Liverpool 5-0, man. I don't think we'll speak again. No, actually, we've got a few days. We'll speak again before the New Year's. And then we got Man United, bro. I can't wait for that one. I've seen the Man United fans. They're scared. They're nervous.
They're scared.
My boy, he said, "I don't want to play you guys at the moment, man. It's not the right moment to play you guys." I said, "No, it's a perfect time to play us because we need to test your new gaffer. Your new gaffer comes in and he's talking up and he's trying to do the back three. That back three, boy. If they don't get it right against us, or back five as they like to call it, but it's a back three. Mo, Diaz, Gakpo, whoever plays in that front line is gonna cook these, man. A well-rested Szoboszlai comes back in, and then we won't have any suspension. So the reset for Granville, reset for all of them. Ibu back, Bradley's going to be back. As I said, the only damper in today is just the Gomez. It looks like a hamstring injury, and fingers crossed, it might not even be long.
Maybe just fatigue. Hopefully, it's just fatigue.
Ends what we're saying just before we go. Slot when the whole calendar year with just one loss under his belt.
And he said it himself. This man is like,
we got a serious
bro, this boy takes his personal too, man. He's like, yeah, the last loss to Forest. We're like, bro, let it go, man.
He can't let it go. It's his only one. He could have gone the entire 2024 year unbeaten.
This is why this man will win the league, bro, because this man just keeps thinking about what the hell did I lose against this team. He took it personal because every game
personal.
Oh yeah, man, we got that point. We got that Forest. Oh yeah, when we played Forest. Oh yeah, when they did this against Forest.
But to be fair, Forest are sitting second in the league right now, so maybe that loss wasn't even a madness like when you think.
And he said it too. He's like, well, they're second now. He's like, well,
yeah, like slightly. You know what? I don't mind losing to the team who was second. Like that's okay. Like, it's not gonna kill me.
Sick. But listen, guys, if you want to share your opinions in the comment section down below after we're in, let it know. I normally get in touch with you guys, man. If you guys don't throw any propagandas, narratives, and agendas, I'll reply. I do reply in there because I find it fun still. But yeah, man. Listen, guys, if we don't speak before the end of the year, how long we got? 2 days, 3 days, something like that. Make sure you guys have a great new year, man, and spend some good time with the family and enjoy the festive period, man. I've enjoyed it. I'm happy as shit, man. I can't wait for the new year. But yeah, 10 p.m. tomorrow, back again. And then 10 p.m. going forward, that's going to be the time slot we'll utilize and chop it up, man. But big up to the man that's joined in. Big up to the chat. Love for the super chat.